Hi guys, it's April. This is officially the last mid-month wrap-up of the year. Yeah! Which means I only have 2 more weeks to hit my secondary reading goal of 200 books. I'm pretty sure that's probably not going to happen this year. It was my secondary reading goal. I did hit my primary reading goal. So I'm just gonna read what I enjoy. I'm not gonna push it. I'm gonna enjoy the holidays. I'm gonna enjoy friends. But I am gonna read because I like reading. I do have several wonderful books that I want to talk to you today to wrap up the first half of November. But first, I want to remind you that the YA Booktuber Awards are still going on and you still have a chance to win 1 of 10 free books. If you are not taking advantage of this, what are you doing? Do it! Go nominate a book, go enter all of the giveaways. All the information is down below, and then come join us next year for the live shows. I'm really excited about the live shows. I, of course, will be involved in 2 of them for both the retelling and the sci-fi. So if you want to see this face live and on a screen, be there. Let's just get into the book reading stuff that I did because wrap up, this is what this is, and I want to talk about books. Let's do the book talk. The first book that I finished this month was finally Illusions by Martina Bone. This is the last of the Watson Island trilogy, which is why I was just pulling this book along as much as I possibly could because I didn't want it to end. So it took me forever to read it. I kept on dragging it out. I really like this series. This is the conclusion of Barry and Eight's journey into figuring out what is going on with their family history and their family land and their heritage and how all of that interweaves together and where things go. It is a very gothic type feeling book. Plus, the covers for this whole series are absolutely beautiful, and I hope Martina Bones comes out with more books because I will read them. They will be read by me. Then there was Replica by Lauren Oliver. This is a 2-in-1 story. This side you have Lyra. This side you have Gemma. You can read it however you want, one side and then the other side, or you can read 1 chapter and then 1 chapter and then 1 chapter and see how they intersplice together. I read it one side and then the other side just because flipping the page back and forth and having 2 bookmarks in the book would have drove me crazy. This is the story of Lyra, who is at the Haven Institute, which seems to be a scientific research facility. You get to see what she sees inside of this research facility. And then you have Gemma, who is just a teenage girl who's dealing with parents and boyfriend and body issues, and then somehow both of their storylines collide. Now, I liked the concept of this book. It wasn't necessarily something that was new and novel and mind-blowing. Maybe it's because I've read way too much sci-fi in my life. So I wasn't really surprised by any of the twists. I liked the concept of having 2 different voices telling the story. They didn't feel like 2 distinct voices. I like Gemma's voice a lot more than I liked Lyra's. I feel like Lyra's wasn't as developed as it could have been. There was this chance to have this very innocent voice with this kind of whimsical quality that wasn't really taken. I think I would have approved more of Lyra's voice if it had gone in that direction. It felt so much like Gemma's voice in the end that 2 distinct characters didn't really come out. You just mainly got to see 2 different sides of the story that came together. It was an interesting read, but it wasn't an out there read. I then picked up Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is pretty much the story of her creative process and how she finds an idea and how she nurtures an idea, how she lets ideas go. It took on a very out there kind of hippie-ish quality to the creative process, which is fine. I didn't connect to it with as much as I was hoping to, mainly because she was coming from a writer's perspective, and that's not necessarily where I'm at. It was good to see how her process works, so if you're thinking about creative stuff, this is a good book to just dive in and see how other people deal with coming up with ideas and growing ideas. I then finally picked up Mr. Penumbram's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. This book Oh, I simply adored this book, mainly because it deals with a bookstore and investigating some things that seem to be going weird inside of this bookstore and putting all the pieces together. And of course you've got this like Google concept in the back, so you're bringing technology into this old world and solving this big mystery. There was so much nerdiness inside this book that I really connected with and I was following, and it made me so very happy. I enjoyed it. I need it. It's gonna show up sometime. If you are a big computer person, or if you really like books, if you like both of them, this book mashes them up in such a way that just makes me smile. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, just think Mysterious Society meets Google technology. Put them together and just see what happens. I then buddy read Elite by Mercedes Lackey with Shala over at Shaegeeksout. As always, I will have her information down below because she is amazing and you need to check out her Instagram account because it's pretty. But anyways, I read Elite with her this time around, which is book 2 in the Hunter series. And here you get to see more mythical monsters that are coming into this world that we're trying to defend ourselves from, and how the Hunter system is set up. We get to meet more of the baddies and figuring out a little bit more, just a tiny smidgen more of what is going on with these mythical creatures, where things might be going. You get to see more of that fae element come into play. And still, there are so many unanswered questions that I can't wait to see be developed in later books in this series. So overall, I enjoyed this book just because mythical creatures and things. I like mythical creatures. I then picked up Positive Intelligence by Shahzad Shamain. This is a book that is geared towards making you think in a more positive way rather than a negative way, retraining your mind for a positive influence that helps you be more productive in what you do. I like the concept of positive thinking helps influence what you are doing and being more productive, but the way all of it was laid out, it felt juvenile in a way and a little, and so I did not enjoy this read at all, unfortunately. The content is there, the presentation, not so much. And that may just be me, but I did not connect to this book in any way. And finally, I picked up Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs. I can't tell you how much fun I had with this little book. It's basically the peculiar fairy tales, which is why I picked it up, because I never really enjoyed the Peculiar series. I read the first book and have not continued it on, but I saw this and I know how much I loved the Peculiars in that book. It was more of the storyline that when you mix fairy tales with Peculiars, I knew it was gonna be something I had to get on board, and I am so glad I picked up this book. I enjoyed it so much. It feels very much like a fairy tale, like the Brothers Grimm or the Andersen fairy tales that you picked up, with the morals of the stories or things like that, but it's always got that peculiar who's featured in it, which I enjoyed. I'd have to say my favorite was probably The Woman Who Befriended Ghosts, for obvious reason, because that one just made me smile so very much. And I really love the illustrations in this book. They remind me so much of the old style illustration, almost wood block print style, that it just lent itself so much more to the classic fairy tale book. Plus, hey, bookmark. I approve this book. Even though I didn't necessarily approve the series, I approve this book. So those were the books that I have read so far this month. Tell me down below what you hope to read before the end of the year, because we've got 2 weeks. I want to know what you're most excited about to read before then. Also, remember to go nominate your favorites from 2016 for the YA Booktube Awards and enter all the giveaways, because everyone needs free books. And I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.